There's more bad news for UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. In the same week, an Ipsos poll found more than 50% of people feel disappointed by Labor's achievements so far. A new poll has put Nigel Farage's Reform UK party ahead of Labor for the first time. The Find Out Now national poll shows the Tories are in first place with 26% support, followed by Reform UK, which saw an uptick of 2 percentage points to 24%, and the current government has come in at third place with just 23% support. Nigel Farage posted on X, "We're just getting started," and shared this video from his appearance on BBC Question Time, claiming that the Conservative Party have lied about immigration for years.
You will never be forgiven for it. You haven't got a cat's chance in hell of winning the general election. Shame on you for what you've done. It was willful, it was deceptive, it was deliberate, and it was wrong. And the worst part of it, Ben asked about, the impact on communities, the impact on services. The worst part of it
He also talked about welcoming diversity.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll talk about diversity in a second. The problem with welcoming diversity is if you do it in too big a level, you get division. And we're seeing that in many of our towns. The last 2 million that came from outside the EU under your watch, only 16% of them are working. Only 16% of that 2 million are working, which means they're dependents, which means they're using schools, the health service, all of these things.
Last week, Prime Minister Starmer accused the Tories of running an open borders experiment after revised figures showed that net migration reached a record high of almost 1 million under the previous government's watch, which is 4 times higher than pre-Brexit figures in 2019.
Now, the Independent Office of National Statistics has conducted vital work on the state of immigration and found the previous government were running an open borders experiment. As the ONS sets out, nearly 1 million people came to Britain in the year ending June 2023.
Sir Keir Starmer said that Labor would reform the points-based immigration system, but this video has gone viral on social media sites such as X, many sharing their outrage. Billionaire Elon Musk reshared the video saying, "Let's see if they do anything about it." And the tech guru has been critical of the Labor government, recently suggesting that the people of Britain have had enough of a police state, after 2 million people signed a petition calling for another general election. Over in the US, immigration continues to be a key issue for residents. President-elect Donald Trump has vowed to carry out the largest deportation effort in history when he returns to the White House. Look, New York City Mayor Eric Adams says that he's open to deporting migrants from New York City who've been charged with crimes, which is a shift from his previous stance of waiting for convictions. Here he is.
Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country. I want to sit down and hear the plan on how we're going to address them. Those are the people I am talking about, and I would love to sit down with the Board of Czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens.
Certainly strong language from Eric Adams there, and a good thing for New York City.
Certainly. I've been in New York City a lot over the past year, and it is terrible. You go onto the subway and the doors close, and all of a sudden these migrant children sit up and they chant snacks, 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 and they walk around selling you snacks. It's terrible. The city is overrun with the migrants. And I find it to be interesting that finally this Democrat, Mayor Adams, has come out and stated the obvious. It's a huge about-face from his earlier policies when he was giving taxpayer money to migrants, prepaid debit cards, $55 million in prepaid debit cards. They were in hotels, they were in churches, synagogues, and mosques. And, some are saying that the reason that Mayor Adams is doing this is because, of course, it's turned out to be such a disaster, but also because the Biden administration's Department of Justice recently unsealed an indictment against Mayor Eric Adams for taking bribes from Turkey. And that was after Mayor Eric Adams criticized the Biden administration's policies on the border. So some say that this is a kind of tit-for-tat political play where because the Biden DOJ after Eric Adams, he's now sticking it to them and agreeing with the Biden administration's archenemy, Donald Trump.
In other big news in the US, it seems likely that the Supreme Court will uphold Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for children. In arguments that lasted more than 2 hours, 5 of the 6 Conservative justice voices laid out varying degrees of scepticism by lawyers challenging the ban representing the Biden administration. They cited a lack of high-quality evidence that shows that the benefits of the treatment outweigh the risks. Of course, the risks we all know are huge. Look, a ruling is expected by late June 2025, but this ruling could affect other legal fights. Is that right?
That's right. And you know what is despicable? Our Department of Justice, using our taxpayer money, is suing the state of Tennessee, alleging that their statute, which forbids the so-called gender-affirming care, which is really gender-denying abuse for minors, children under the age of 18, our taxpayer money is going towards that, saying that it is discrimination against trans youth. But you know what was even more despicable was that one of the Supreme Court justices, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, who was nominated to the court by President Biden, said in those arguments that the same people who are trying to forbid gender affirming care for minors have similar legal arguments to the ones that those who banned interracial marriages used. She's somehow drawing a parallel between banning interracial marriages and banning gender affirming care. It's complete legal gymnastics, and I think it's morally terrible.
Finally, Notre Dame Cathedral will reopen in Paris on Saturday, with the incoming US President Donald Trump to attend the ceremony 5 years after the devastating fire. This is going to be Donald Trump's first foreign trip since he won the election last month. What can we expect?
Well, you know, as bad of a reputation as Donald Trump gets with regard to our allies, many of them actually seem to like him because he demonstrates such strength on the world stage. So I expect that we'll have a good relationship with France. I know that Donald Trump issued some great remarks for Emmanuel Macron, praising the way that they have rebuilt that fantastic cathedral. So as much as the media likes to hound him, I think the evidence is that he will try to build a strong relationship with our NATO and EU ally.
Broadcaster and commentator Julie Hartman, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.